and welcome to the Knitting Traditions podcast about knitting, episode 5. My name is Inga and you can find me on Instagram as Knitting Traditions and on Ravelry as Knitting Tradition. I will put description below with links or the names of where you can find me, and if I forget some names for patterns or what I'm talking about, I'll also be putting it in the description below. And wow, something happened with the last episode. I went from having like 40 views to like 2,000 something and over 500 subscribers, which is, to me, insane. I never imagined that it would grow that fast, and I got so many lovely comments. So if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much, and if you're a new viewer, welcome! This is a podcast mainly about knitting, and today I have a lot of yarn acquisitions and yarny goodness, stash related things, because this weekend my cousin came to visit and she had heard about a yarn festival or a knitting festival just 40 minutes from where I live. This is a very small village on the west coast of Norway, so the fact that something was happening that close was a great surprise, and of course it ended up with a lot of new things in my stash. And I also got some things for a giveaway. I couldn't really decide if I wanted to do a 500 subscriber or 1,000 subscriber giveaway, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you today what I want to do for the giveaway at the end of the episode or later on, and then you just add a comment on YouTube. I'll talk about it later, and then I think I'll give it away once I have 1,000 subscribers. The way things are going now, maybe that'll be the next episode, maybe it'll be in a year, who knows. If it's too far ahead, I'll speed it up, don't worry. So, let's talk about knitting. First, I wanted to show you what I'm wearing. This is the Minimalist Cable Cardigan. I'll put the name of the designer in the description box below. It's something Spencer, I think. I found this pattern on Ravelry. It's got this beautiful cable going down the side, and then it's got it reminds me of a purl stitch or like a moss stitch on the sides, and then it's a reverse stockinette on the sleeves. I knitted in Sevek Tibet yarn, which is a yak and merino blend. It's one of those blown yarns inside a tube, kind of, and it's super soft. Like, it's so soft to the touch. I do regret not pairing it with the Mohair to kind of keep the fibers more, because when you knit something with the Mohair, it kind of winds around the other yarn. So if it's a fluffy yarn that has a tendency to pill, it kind of keeps the fibers more. And I do wish I would have done that, because I held the yarn double, and I don't know if you can see, but it does pill a little bit. And I mean, it's fine, I can always just use a pill remover. But I did knit a sweater with this Tibet yarn together with the Mohair, and it's so luscious and soft and squishy, but it doesn't pill, which this one does. So in the future, I think I will do that, maybe for another cardigan or definitely more sweaters. I have one finished object from the last episode. If you saw it, I was using up some Holst yarn leftovers for a huge blanket that I made, and I haven't tied in the ends yet, but I finished the baby blanket. So this is just a garter blanket. I cast on 135 stitches based on a swatch. I figured that would be a good size, and then I just knit back and forth until I ran out of yarn. And the color is rosemary if you wanted to get the yarn, and it's super squishy. Right now I haven't blocked it out or washed it yet because I haven't tied in the ends, but it's gonna be super nice to use on babies because the wool is rustic. It's 100% wool, not processed, so it does have that warm feeling, but it's also, as you can see, somewhat see-through, and that means it's airy. So for children, you know, babies, they can't regulate heat as well as we do, but wool is great for that because wool regulates. So it's good for warm weather and cold weather, really, unless you're, I mean, I don't know if I would put wool on a 30 Celsius sweaty day, but you could do that. And then I was on a whole roll with the whole making things for future baby gifts or gifts for future family babies, who knows, maybe my babies. And I had this in my stash. It's a crochet kit from Toft. I think it's a UK company. It's an alpaca farm and they make their own yarn, and they've also made a lot of patterns for for crocheting different animals. And I already made a sheep in the spring that I don't have here. And then this one, I think this looks like a Cocker Spaniel, which is the same breed as my dog. So I wanted to make this, and the kit gives you everything you need. It has the pattern, a crochet hook, I believe, and the yarn, the stuffing, everything. And so this comes in a, sorry about the crinkles. It's I don't know what you call it, camel colored, and you make it in pieces and you sew it together. So this is a little leg that I'm working on right now. You make 4 of these, you make the body, the head, and then accessories. And essentially most of the animals have the same basic shape, like the same body, the same legs and arms. The head might vary depending on what the animal needs to look like with the nose or snout. And I bought the book from them as well, so I have the Toft book with a lot of animals. That's where I made the sheep from. And the kit is nice if you just want to get everything you need to make something, but I do think that the book was easier to understand for, you know, how to do things if you're a new crocheter. It was more it gave you a better overlook, like it's more detailed in the book and more illustrations of how to do things. And I'm not a crocheting person. I'm not good at it, so for me good instructions are very important. And I have a new cast on. It was a cast on and an acquisition because I was traveling, so when I'm traveling I can buy more yarn. That's my rule. And last week I was in a different city called Sogndal. It's almost 2 hours from here. We had some seminars about driver's license and sexual abuse and a lot of law and ethics about being a family doctor. So it's a mandatory course for the 6 months that I'm working as it here. And they, in the yarn store, they had Kauni. Kauni is a very rustic yarn, which is kind of a gradient yarn. It changes colors over big sections as you go, and the different balls have different weights. So they actually write on by hand how heavy it is. So this is 150 grams and it gives you 400 meters per 100 grams. It's great for shawls if you don't mind the woolly feeling. If you like it to change colors, it's good for that. It's made in Denmark, 100% wool, and I don't think it has a color on it. It doesn't say. It doesn't really have a name. So one skein of this, and I got another in more orangey tones because I'm all about the fall colors. And I cast on a cowl, and I didn't use a pattern. I just made a swatch. So this is how it's looking right now. If you want to make something like this yourself, I am using 3mm needles, and I made a swatch, just a plain swatch, and I saw how many stitches do I have per 10 centimeters, and then I just measured up a different cowl that I have from before, and I saw that, okay, I need approximately, let's say just off the top of my head, let's say you need 60 stitches, or 60 centimeters, right? So that means it's my swatch times 6, because one swatch is 10 centimeters, right? So whatever amount of stitches I had on that, I multiplied it by 6, and I cast it on, right? But if you do want to make a pattern, like a colored pattern, I would recommend you to check how many stitches are in a repeat of that pattern. And I did that, and I saw that, ooh, if I want to use this pattern, I just found something online, like a doodle of something, and I made it into a pattern. It's a very Selbu kind of pattern. And I saw that, okay, I can't really have, because I think my swatch was like, okay, I need 160 stitches, let's say. And that didn't add up with this pattern, but 156 stitches did. So that's what I cast on. I did a twisted rib, and then I do the pattern. I'm almost finished. I just need a little bit more, and then the edging. And I'm not sure now if it's gonna be too wide, but if it is too wide, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in the machine, felt it a little bit, and then stretch it longer instead of wide, because it's nice when you kind of get the kind of cowl that covers your mouth a little bit. If it's cold, you can like push your ears into it, and it's really good for the winter here. I usually put a cowl on, and then I have a scarf or a jacket, or if I go skiing, I have it inside my jacket, and I can just feel that it's gonna be really warm. Although it is very rustic, so a little bit itchy, but very warm. To me, it's worth it if it's just warm enough. So that was my first whip of the week that I cast on. And then, let's see. Last week, I showed you that I started on this sweater. This is a sweater that I'm kind of making up as I go, and I'm using Holst super soft. Here you can see my cable needle. Holst super soft in the color cinnamon, together with some caked up. I'm holding it double, so I caked up a few skeins of it, and I'm knitting it double on 3mm needles. I am using my carbons, and so this is how far I've gotten, and I have little stitch markers on, like a little tree, an owl, another owl, and a horseshoe. Yeah, some different ones that I made. If you're curious about it, you can look in the last episode. So, what I did, I knit 10 centimeters of knit 1, purl 1, just a normal single rib. And then I think it's 272 stitches, and I just kind of divided the sections for the front parts and then I counted how many stitches I needed for the other cables, and I divided that on the side of that, and I repeated on the back, and whatever amount of stitches I have left, that just goes into the side panel, which is a moss stitch. So in this way you can use the same pattern for a lot of sizes and just add stitches or decrease stitches on the side pieces to make it bigger or smaller. So for me this is a little bit big. So what I could have done if I was to repeat the pattern another time is, instead of having 272 stitches, maybe 240 stitches or 230, and just remove those stitches from the sides. And that would be less modifications. I just googled different patterns online to find, drew some inspirations from previous things I made, free patterns. You can see this is a very simple 3x3 cable that you just twist it over every so and then. And this one uses 2 stitches that you just move around. I put some moss stitch here on the sides, and then this one, this cable right here, which is a little bit more complicated than the other ones, just because you basically need to move some stitches around almost every second row. That one I used from this book. I don't know if you have heard about this. It's a praise for Hitomi Shida's work, a Japanese book. It's got 250 different Japanese stitches in here, knitting stitches. I know that there is another one with 260, but I personally loved the stitches in this one. You could get both and you have more than 500 stitches if you like. I got it when I went to Amsterdam. It's got different sections, like it has some stitches in the back that are more for borders, if you want to add some pretty borders to your knit work. And then they have, let's see, without showing too much, it's difficult because they have the chart next to the pictures, so it's difficult to not show the pattern. Although I don't think you would be able to make it based on what it looks like, because they use some, yeah. So they have like open worked patterns, and then in the beginning they have like how to do the different stitches, like explanations. They also have like overall patterns and different pattern arrangements. It's just, if you like to play with knitting and you want to do structured work with different cables, not everything in here is cables. There's also patterns with yarn overs and knit together, more simple things. But I was afraid to start knitting with this, just because when I looked at the chart, it's not written instruction, it's all charted. The chart looked so overwhelming to me. There was like lines with dots and then curly things around it, and I was just like, what is this? This is way more complicated than anything I've ever knit with. But once I started knitting, it kind of made sense after one repeat. So now I don't need to look at the pattern for every row. I just need to look every now and then once I get to the edges here to make sure I'm on the right row. And the same with this, I need to look at which row I'm gonna do these things with compared to this pattern. So I think it's gonna be a great sweater. It's very stiff right now and rustic, but it does make the cables pop. I was contemplating making it a cropped sweater, to just kind of have it like this and have it be like cropped and baggy. But then again, if I make it longer, like say so, it would be a sweater that would be more kind of a super warm winter sweater. And also because it's bigger, it could be unisex, so my boyfriend could use it when he comes to visit, or my brothers could use it, and it could just go down through generations, because I really think this is the kind of yarn that would never wear out. It's super sturdy. So I think this could be inherited for generations. So I kind of went with that I'm going to keep on knitting and make it long, because I have a lot of cropped sweaters, so I think it'll get more use from more people if I make it long. So that's what I'm going to do. Oh, and for the cowl that I was making, this is the old one that I have, that I was kind of using to see how wide I like it to be. And this one I felt it in the machine. It's yeah, super warm. No wind comes through this because it's felted, so that's nice. And if you want to know the name of it, just leave a comment and I will try and figure out what the design name was. Yeah, it's something about coffee beans. And then I have another whip, because I figured as I was going to these seminars, I needed something that was stockinette to knit on. I didn't want to really be dealing with the cable needle to make noise, because you want to knit but do it quietly. So I made another swatch. So here's my little swatch and my little trick of doing yarn overs. So this one has 1, 2, 3 yarn overs and another one over here, so it's 3.5. I just did a small swatch. I just wanted to kind of get the feel of it. If it's one strand of mohair and another strand of Ystabø spinny tweed, which is I'd say it's a super thin fingering to lace weight yarn. And I really like the swatch. I usually keep swatches on the inside of a turtleneck just to feel it against my skin, because this is the most sensitive area of skin on my body. People are different. I got a suggestion in the last episode to keep it under the bra strand, which is also a really good idea. I tend to wear a lot of turtlenecks, so for me this was the best area to keep it, just because it's where I'm the most sensitive. And I like the fabric that I got. It's very drapey and soft. So I was contemplating originally to make a cardigan by Petite Knit. I think it's called the Copenhagen cardigan with pockets, because I think it's a great thing to have pockets, because I'm always looking to put my phone in things or my keys. But I figured that this was too soft for a cardigan. I don't want it to just droop off the shoulders. I want it to stay on if it's a cardigan. So instead, I decided to knit her balloon sweater. And so this is the Ystabø or Ystabø. I'll write it below. It's a Danish company. I bought this yarn in Amsterdam. And it's called Ystabø or Ystabø spinny tweed. It's a single ply, I think I would call it. A single ply yarn. It's which makes it kind of thick and thin a little bit. And because it's a tweed, it looks heathered to me in the knit fabric. And I've paired it with a champagne color. It's Hasegawa silk mohair from Tokyo, which is where I traveled last fall in November. So I got a few different colors in this one. It's very thin, very soft, a lot softer to the touch than a lot of different mohair yarns that I've tried. And it has a super nice fuzz to it. I've knit another sweater with it, which I'll show you in a different episode. But this is, oh, it's all wrinkly now, sorry. This is the balloon sweater by Petite Knit. And I've just joined in the round because you do the neck, then you do some German short rows with some special techniques. She is really good at shoulder shaping. She has so many different ways of doing it. I recommend you to check out one of her patterns if you like to try new things. And then you just knit the front piece and the back piece before you join in the round. And her shoulder detail is super pretty, and I don't know if it will continue on the arm, but I kind of hope so. So this is gonna be a very light and thin sweater, but because of the wool and mohair, it's gonna be super warm. That's basically me. I like super warm things. And I do think that the color is gorgeous. To me, this looks like a sandy beach. It has some flecks of warmer tones and some flecks of cooler gray, and the color of this one, let me see if I can find the name. The Ystabø spinny tweed has the color 6S. Wow. Yeah. 6S is the color. It looks like wheat or a sandy beach. And the Hasegawa, the colorway is in Japanese. If you know how to read Japanese, go ahead. But to me it looks like champagne. They do have a whiter one, which I used in a different sweater, so it's not the white one. It's lighter. So that was this third whip, which I keep in my plystre bag. And that was all that I have made in the past week. If you do not like to hear about acquisitions, that will be shortly. But I figured I would talk about the giveaway if you're interested. I got a few things from my local yarn store that also sell different kinds of decor and things. And I wanted to share with you. Let's see. Where did I put it? Here. So I got this tote bag from that store. So I'll be giving this tote bag away as a part of the giveaway. It's got these lovely little leaf things on it. And inside the bag there is a, what would you call it, a knitting tool organizer in 100% cotton. And I actually got one of these for myself. Maybe I forgot to bring it down. Well, it's a knitting tool organizer. It's got several different sections inside for your DPNs or for your interchangeable needles, and it also has a little one for little knickknacks and a bigger section on the side where you could put cable needles if you have one. Or what I did is I put in, here you can see the sections, and here I put in my interchangeable cables. So too bad I didn't bring the one that I have, but maybe I can show it in the next episode when we pick a winner. And then I figured you can't have a knitting podcast with a giveaway without some yarn. And I want to share with you my love for rustic yarns, and I wasn't sure how to give that away because a yarn, I don't have any sponsors or anyone who's giving anything to the podcast, so giving away a sweater's quantity that would fit every size would be a little bit expensive for little old me for now. But I figured rustic yarn, sock, or mittens, or a cowl, or you could use it in a shawl, whatever you want. So I wanted to give away some rustic yarn. So this is yarn from my favorite Norwegian producer of yarn called Hillesvåg, and this is their rustic sock base. It has 80% Norwegian wool and 20% nylon, so you can use it for socks, and each skein can be divided into 2 sections, and if you want to knit a pair of socks for an adult man, you need 1.5 skein, which will leave you, one skein is 100 grams, so if you knit a pair of socks you will have 50 grams left over. One skein is approximately 250 meters, and I wasn't sure if people love fall colors as much as me or if they like the more muted colors. Personally, I like both. So what we're gonna do is to win this giveaway, I want you to leave a comment below about what's your favorite yarn, and then also specify whether you want the gray one or the yellow. Let's call it yellow. It's the name of this one is gull, and this one is light gray. So just call it gray or yellow. So write below what your favorite yarn is in the world, which one of these you would like, and subscribe. And then I think if we reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll give away next episode, or maybe we'll give it a little bit more time if there's not a lot of comments to draw from. And I'll use a random number generator to pick a winner. So 2 skeins of rustic sock yarn, 1 knitting tool organizer, and a tote bag will be the prize for the 5 to 1,000 subscriber giveaway. 500 to 1,000, let's say that. Alright, so we've talked about what I'm wearing, what I'm making, what I've made, and the giveaway prize. And it's gonna be a long episode, so if you're not interested in hearing about what I've bought today and the last week, I hope to see you in the next episode. And if you do like to look at all the yarny goodness, which I personally love to do in different podcasts, I'm gonna show you all that I've bought. So last weekend I was on call for the whole weekend, and once I finished work I felt so tired and I just wanted to treat myself. So I did. I went online and I got myself some Icelandic yarn called Plotulopi. So if you haven't heard about this yarn, you will now. I haven't tried it myself. I've knitted with the thicker ones called Alafoslupi and Letlupi. Very, very, very scratchy yarns, super warm. They're made in Iceland, and a lot of designers have started making patterns for these yarns. So I got these colors because I have a pattern from B Mandarins, or Melody Hoffmann, which is her name. I believe the shawl pattern is called Aito. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I will write it below in the description box. I think it uses 5 different colors. I got 6 because I couldn't decide. So these are the colors for the shawl, and this color I got 5 skeins of, so I can make a sweater for myself as well. So this is called light beige heather, this color, light beige heather, and the lightest color is called ivory beige. So I think the shawl pattern goes from ivory beige to light beige heather, and then this one is called oatmeal heather. They come in plastic wrappings, and the tag doesn't actually have the name on it, so I wrote the name on it so that I would remember for myself. And then the color that I got several skeins of is called dark wood. I really loved how it has hints of gray, black, warmer brown, lighter brown. It's just a very interesting color to me, and I just wanted more of it. I also kind of wanted to get more of the light beige heather, but now I'm kind of falling in love with ivory beige, so we'll see. I mean, I have to knit all this yarn as well. I can't just keep buying it. Or can I? Who knows? Maybe. And then there's brown heather, and the darkest one that I got is chocolate heather, which to me is dark enough. I think that maybe in the pattern she uses slightly different colors. I think she might have some black, but I didn't really want that. I thought this was dark enough. So let's see if I put them all together. I think she might be using more of the lighter colors and less of the darker. I haven't really looked at the pattern that detailed yet, but to me this is dark enough for my palette, and I just thought that this was a nice gradient from dark to light. I just picked the brown tones that I liked and made my own choices for the pattern. So that I bought at the beginning of last week before I went to the seminars, and then when I went to the seminar in the different town, I got the Kauni yarn, which I already showed you. I think I'm gonna also be using it together with Rauma finull for some mittens, and because of that, at the yarn festival today they had this book, Selbu, and I think this book also comes in English now. I know the knit girls, Tracy, it's Tracy, right? She made some gloves from this book. So what I'm planning to do is to make some mittens or gloves with the Rauma finull that I have and the Kauni, and that way hopefully it will show the gradient changing. It kind of depends where in the yarn I start, because they do have big sections of one color. Like my cowl, it all looks orange right now. I think at the top part it'll turn more yellow, but we'll see. And this book basically just has tons of patterns in charts, and you can kind of put them together and make your own Selbu mitten. And I'm hoping they also tell me how to make one. I think they do. But a lot of old Norwegian Selbu patterns, they just give you a chart, and there's no written instructions of how many stitches to cast on or where to do decreases or how to do them. There's just a chart. But I think this book explains the technique of making a Selbu mitten, and if you just read that, you can make whatever you want. And what I want is not really the mittens. I want to make finger gloves, what you call finger gloves maybe. Okay, so I want to make something like this. The problem is I have tiny hands, like tiny hands, small. In plastic glove size, I'm a small. And usually these ones are made for men, and the way to change it is to go down in the needle size and the thickness of the yarn to make it smaller. And I think for me, to make something that fits my fingers, I think I would have to knit with like a 1.25 millimeter or something. I don't have that small needles. But yeah, there's tons of beautiful patterns, and I think I'm gonna not only incorporate them into mittens and gloves, but also into different pattern designs that I would like to make for myself. So I got that, and I also had to go and check out my local yarn store. I didn't buy any yarn there actually, because they didn't really have any yarns that I haven't tried before. So I just wanted to look. I brought my cousin, we walked around the store, and then I saw this one. Isn't this just adorable? In a previous episode I talked about how I tried single stitch needlework, or cross stitch needlework, or I don't know, needlework. I tried it on an old shirt and it failed miserably. And then this week I got some of these sheets that you kind of put onto your work that you want to do. You can draw on it and then it dissolves in water afterwards. So I wanted to use this to do needlework on my knitwear, but I don't really want to try out for the first time on something that I've spent hours on, days even. So I figured this would be a nice start. This kit gives me everything I need. It's from Permin, and it's just so cute. So if I manage to do this, I will try something on my knitwear. Maybe I'll just do something on my socks or something that didn't take up a lot of sweat and tears to make. But I think it will be fun. And last time I showed you my Into the Wood socks that I knit in the gold colorway. So when I went back to the store in Sogndal, I just couldn't help myself. I needed to get another skein. They didn't have that many colors, but I figured a dark colored sock is always good to have, either for myself or as a gift. It was lovely to knit with. It's the Regia Premium Merino Yak 4-ply sock yarn. And I knit a pair of socks for myself and I still had quite a bit left. So maybe if I knit with this one, I could do striped gold and black like bee socks, or who knows. There's lots of options. And you can always use your leftovers in like a granny stripe blanket, or for color work in another pattern that just needs a little bit of yarn. So that was that. Oh, and yes, I went to the knitting festival and I met Strikkezilla. She is a Norwegian designer, and she also has a knitting store, and she wanted to participate in the giveaway. So if you join the giveaway, you will also get this from her. It's a little box with stitch markers. I can't really hold it up without dropping them, but they are kind of little tear-shaped stitch markers in gold and gray and tiny. Let's see if I can pull them up without dropping everything. This is not easy. Okay, let's see. Yeah, and the tiny silver one. Yeah, and the best part is she also includes a little progress keeper with a tiny wooden sock on it. So there's at least 10 stitch markers in there and this one little sock. And it comes in this nice little sliding box, which is easy to keep in your little project bag, or if you have accessory kit with all your needles and scissors and whatnot. So this one will also be given away in the giveaway. I'm sorry that this is all super disorganized, but I just have so many bags in front of me after being up at the knitting festival, so it's a bit of a mess. I'm gonna include some footage at the end of the festival if you want to see, and also some from the drive in the beautiful nature that we have here. Okay. So now I'm sorry if there's a little bit of crinkling, but there's paper bags because you have to be good to nature. So I got a pattern. I'll try to put a photo in here. If I can't put it in the middle of the video, I'm so sorry. I'll try to put it at the end of the video. But it's a mohair sweater that I saw at the festival and I just fell in love. It was gorgeous and I just had to get yarn for it. So it's a mohair sweater, but it uses a bit of golden bling in this pattern. This is a PT design called Concord, and you put it in sections of the sweater together with, let's see if I can, together with different colors of mohair. So this was a kit from Mohairia. She has a online store, Mohairia.no, and she ships worldwide. So if you want to get some lovely mohair yarn, check her out. And she also kindly gifted me this color because this color combination I picked out myself for the sweater because I wanted one with the fall colors. But originally the colors that she used were these colors. So hopefully I can show you the photo, or I showed you the photo already, but it's gonna be super snuggly and soft and warm. And for me, mohair doesn't itch, so it just doesn't itch. If you are allergic to mohair, if you can't use mohair, suri alpaca, brushed alpaca, I know a lot of people can use that yarn as a substitution for mohair, so you should check that out if you haven't. And then there was another stand of some ladies from, well, pretty close to where my father is from. It's more southern part of the west coast of Norway. And they had some lovely hand-dyed yarn, Norwegian yarn. And they're called Ystabø gull. Yeah, Ystabø gull. I'll write it below. It has some Norwegian letters that are not in the English alphabet. We have 3 extra ones, so I'll write it below if you want to check them out. And they had a kit for these lovely mittens. You see, I'm on a mitten roll. I just want to make mittens. And I loved that, so I picked out 2 colors to go with it. Let's see. I picked out Aito Shawl in the color Burnt Sugar and Morgendis in the color Silver. So these are gonna be my mittens. This one is 100% white Norwegian wool, and it's colored in a silver color, of course. And this one is 100% clean Norwegian wool. It's from Hardanger, which is a beautiful place. You should Google it. And it's made from a Norwegian pelt sheep and Norwegian white sheep, also known as pelsau and dalasau. And this one, I think is probably then just the dalasau or the Norwegian white wool. And they have the same gauge. It's 315 meters per 100 grams. And can you just tell that this burnt sugar speaks to me? This color is everything. And I actually bought yarn from this company before, and I crocheted another tote animal, a sheep, a white sheep, a very rustic, woolly white sheep. And I have some other yarn that's a little bit similar to the burnt sugar, but it's more contrasty between grays, reds, and yellows. And I didn't bring that yarn with me here, so it's still in Førde, where I used to live. But in the future, I'm gonna be making a woolly sweater from that. And I did touch and feel some swatches that they had up there, some sweaters that they've made and washed up, and it was a lot softer after use. So I'll be making that. And then I also, maybe I should have showed you everything from each person at once, but it was all over the place. So Strikkezilla, which gave the stitch markers and the little progress keeper with a wooden sock. She also sold wrist rulers, and of course I had to buy one. So I got myself a wrist ruler, and isn't it just beautiful? Yeah. So this one you can clasp on and off your arm. It's got centimeters and inches on it, and for me it's perfect. I can keep it with me, and I don't have to search around for my measuring tape. I have it on my arm, and you can wear it all the time, just don't shower with it. And these have gotten really popular in the last year. I know Espace Tricot in Canada sells them. I'm wondering if maybe it's Coco Knits who has their version. This one is from Crossover Industries, and it's made in Portland, Oregon. So I'm sure you can get it across the ocean if that's where you live. Anyways, I think it's super nice. I think it also comes in black, but warm colors is my thing. And she was also selling Lykke needles. I don't know if you've heard about these ones. They're driftwood needles, and I think the wood in it is birch tree. And I got these on a US 0 or 2 millimeter needles because I was hoping that these are thin enough for me to make mittens and gloves that will fit my hand. And after going back and forth a little bit in the knitting market, I ended up buying her Lykke driftwood interchangeable needle set. I've wanted this for years, and it includes 12 pairs of needles from a US 4 to US 17, or a 3.5 millimeter needle to a 12 millimeter needles, and it has 5 cords, one of 100 centimeters, and then 2 of 60 and 2 of 80, and it also has connectors, keys, and stoppers in the kit. And it's nice when they come in little keepsake organizers. I mean, I'm giving away an organizer, so it's an organizer. That's what it's called. And oh, it smells new. You open it up, and it has a nice zipper where you can keep things, I guess. And then, no, it's never been opened. And here you see the beautiful driftwood birch needles. And basically what sold me is that the lady who I bought the Mohair yarn from came over to this stand and said, "You need these needles, they're amazing for knitting with mohair." And I was like, yeah, they are. I want them. And then, oh yeah, and in this little places where they have the wires. So, beautiful, right? Oh, the wood color. I'm allergic to birch wood, but it's the pollen, so this should be fine. Yes, I think that's everything that I ended up buying. At least I hope I haven't forgotten anything. Yes. I did get one of these for myself as well. And I don't know where I put that. See? Too much mess around me right now. But we've been recording for almost an hour, so I'm so sorry if that's way too long and if you've already left me, but I appreciate every single one of you who views the video, who likes the video, who subscribes, and who comments. It means the world, and it makes it so much more fun to keep recording these things. And I do have a lot more to show. I have 50 sweaters upstairs. I'll put on one for every episode, and I'll keep on knitting and sharing and all the yarny goodness. I hope you're all doing well, that you're enjoying the fall, that you're happy and content, and that you're knitting and enjoying a nice beverage of some kind. And don't forget to subscribe and comment below what your favorite yarn is, which color you would like, and you'll be up for maybe winning the giveaway. And other than that, I will try and include some footage at the end of the beautiful nature and of the knitting festival. I know it's such I'm so lucky to be able to go to a knitting festival in the midst of everything that's happening in the world, and I just hope that we don't get any more cases here, so we can keep on sort of living a normal life. But it's strange times, and the most important thing is that we're safe with people we love and that we have our knitting. So on that note, I will see you next time, hopefully. Bye!